Welcome to Seasonal Anime Talk with your host, Thabreakmaster, and I'm here today to talk all things anime. The topic at hand, of course, that we'll be talking later on in the stream is AI taking over anime and the usage of AI and whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to AI, right? A lot of things going on here, especially when it comes to voice acting and just again how they use it within background imagery and everything of that nature. It's a very scary time, even a very scary time. But of course, as per usual, we talk about all things anime within this season of anime. We obviously had to skip over Nier Automata and find a new anime to talk about. So the anime that replaced Nier Automata for this week is Record of Ragnarok, which is on Netflix. So you can definitely watch it there. Goes and support and do what you must when it comes to trying to watch that. If you want to watch that show, I know there is some controversies when it comes to Record of Ragnarok and how its anime is being handled, but that's not what we're going to be talking about until we get to that anime. But we have a big thing here today, so stay tuned, strap up, drink some water, and let's go ahead and start talking about the first anime, which is obviously Buddy Daddy. That is the first anime we're going to be talking about right now. So with what I'm doing, because I missed last week, we'll be discussing not only this week's episode, but last week's episode as well. There will be two winners that will also be showcased here today. So as we get past all the animes we're talking about, we'll have that section there and decide which one has won from last week and for this week as well. Right. So when it comes to this week's episode, or let's go back. When it comes to last week's episode of Buddy Daddy, the best way I can sum this one up is that she needed to go into daycare so that they can do their job. So they try to find a whole daycare for her, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to try to get her into a daycare, and there's so much paperwork and other things they got to do on top of making sure to get the right type of clothing, because apparently she was having some problem. The kids didn't really want to mess with her because she's looking too fancy. So that's why they had to go back to the drawing board and get some different clothes. But the initial clothes they had at first, they wanted to make sure they have her name on all her clothes and all that stuff too. So it's just been a lot of work just on them, just trying to do what the daycare wants them to do and to make sure she also fits in ultimately with all of the other children there. And ultimately at the end of this episode, they do find a way to make that happen. She looks more, normal, and all of them start talking, and she has friends. It all works out in the end. And it's a nice little, just fun episode. I felt more so than that. It did still progress the plot, so I do appreciate that for last week's episode. It did do that. But to me, it was just an all right episode. It was an all right episode. I'm still looking for some of that meat and potatoes, you know what I'm saying? I want some more sustenance within my anime, you know what I'm saying? I want to know more about their backstory more than anything else. Like, their backstory seems very freaking interesting. Episode 3 really caught my eye and why it won that week anime award, you know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why it won is because the episode was actually freaking lit. Everybody got development. So I'm kind of hoping that we start diving deeper into their actual backstory, or maybe with this week's episode and how that ended, this might actually bring something else up. Because within this week here, best way I can sum this one up, god dang child is just being a child. But it's funny because I said at first that, oh, it's nice that she acts just like a child. That's what makes it so real. And you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's so great. But then at the same time, it's like, God, she acts like a child. And look, kids can be annoying, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was kind of getting on my nerves this episode. I was like, why are you trying to follow this freaking... Let him work. Let him work. She wants to know, ultimately, what kind of jobs they do because they need to actually do some type of presentation at the daycare, right? So she wants to know. And it's like, okay, it's all nice and good, but god dang, like, come on now. It's frustration sometimes. But outside of that, obviously, she tries to go and follow them and everything like that. Kiryu, the one that employs them, because they out here assassinating suckers and everything like that, but he put on a lot of work for them, and they were having trouble with that as well, trying to keep up with all the work that Kiryu placed on them. And obviously somebody has to still be there to watch her, because apparently the daycare within the last episode, that daycare, it's not working right now. Apparently something happened and they can't watch her for like that week or so. So on top of them having like split trying to watch her, it just wasn't not really working out. She got out. Kiryu pretty much took care of her when she actually found, when Kiryu actually found her like outside of the door of that bar that they're in, right? And so they come back to the bar later, find this child asleep over there, and then that's when they ended up kind of talking about it. Ultimately, they thought they were about to get in trouble, that they have this child, this same child that they killed the father, right? They killed her father. So it's not really a good look necessarily, but given the circumstances of what was going on there, they stepped up and tried to become those new daddies, you know what I'm saying? But Kiryu does say something towards the end of this episode, which has me very interested in, is the fact that with your profession, obviously, there's going to be goons going to come after you. Are you ready to take on the responsibility of what something were to happen to this child, for instance? Because, like, look at this. This is a great example, actually, of them not taking care of this, like, situation properly and not having something set up in a way where that girl can be protected, because god dang, she's out here just walking around wandering the street. If you really care like that, you got to have some better measures to make sure she ain't just doing stuff like this, because easily they can make something happen. I mean, it's pretty bad, but Kiryu knows what to do when it comes to, like, I guess, children. Like, he was real good at it, and therefore I think he's gonna be the one to, like, take care of her when the daycare can't take care of her. So he came in clutch with this. And see, sometimes you just gotta actually talk about things. Once you talk about stuff, it opens up a new can of, like, opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Just have those conversations, have those talks. It is a necessary thing, and that's just not within, like, anime. This is within life, guys. This is a life lesson. But this also, I think, was a solid episode, all things considered. This show is actually just a very solid show. There's nothing I can say that's wrong with the series per se, outside of just I'm waiting to see more of their backstory. I need some more meat ultimately when it comes to the show here, because I am looking to see where this is actually going to go. I can tell this show has a lot more to it, maybe even more the Spy Family, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I know you always keep doing like a comparison. Even without the comparison, the show's actually just a solid series, all things considered. It hasn't really done anything massively wrong just yet, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, there's not a lot of filler episodes. Question, actually, for everyone here, right? The question is, how long is the show? Because I didn't check right now. I need to go check. I'll probably find out later. But I need to know how long the show is, because the way they're kind of building up the story right now, it feels like this might be like a 25 episode series. And if that's the case, then it's gonna take a minute before we actually really get into the big stuff within this anime. Because I know there's some stuff here that's like underlined that had been brought up many a times even. There's even little subtleties and stuff like that for Kiryu when it comes to how he explained their jobs and everything. So, like I said, overall, this was a solid episode this week and last week. But did it win anime of the week, or did it win even anime of last week? We'll have to find out. We'll have to find out, won't we? Exactly. So, with that said, I give this week's episode, or I'll give last week's episode like a 7, and I give this week's episode like a 7.5, because it was a little bit better than last week's episode. I feel just a little bit. So, with that said, let us continue and move on to the next anime. And we're doing this already. Okay, Record of Ragnarok. This show, there's a lot of controversy with this, because obviously people don't really like how the animation is necessarily when it comes to the show, unfortunately. And they just think that this show is just done so poorly and this and that and the other. Look, if you want my opinion real quick, just on Record of Ragnarok in general, I do enjoy it. I probably could read the manga, but I'm more of an anime watcher than I am a manga reader. So I always prefer, if there's an anime out, I'll watch it. And if it's like terrible, then yeah, I won't watch it. But I honestly feel with Record of Ragnarok, it's a decent adaptation. It's not the best. I can tell it isn't. There's, again, Adam and Zeus. That fight right there was just kind of like looking kind of disgusting. I'm not gonna lie. That fight did not look good, like at all. I did not enjoy it in any capacity, in any way. Because, like, the vine kick was amazing, but with the animation, with them still frames, it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. And honestly, the animation did not step up at all within this season. Honestly, there's a character in here right now. Honestly, it's like he's like all CG for some reason. He reminds me of like Tiger and Bunny, actually, but it doesn't blend. Like it's so weird. Because it's like he's standing in the background. He's still CG in the background, but everybody else is like 2D. And it's like, bro, you can obviously tell the difference. Like, you did not bother to blend that at all. Like, who is the animation studio doing this? Because there's just weird moments like that, even within the fight scenes right now. Because they are trying to blend that 2D and 3D type of animation together. they're just not doing good. They're just not doing good. I mean, again, it doesn't look so terrible, but it's very noticeable. It is very noticeable. That's the thing about this. And that's the problem I have ultimately with Ragnarok when it comes to this animation anyways. It's just the animation. Because the way it's telling its story, look, I don't read the manga, but the way it's telling the story, because I'm an anime only at this point, I like it. I mean, I like the concept of what they're trying to do with all the different gods, facing off against just all these other humans. You know what I mean? So I do like what I'm seeing here. So like one of the main big fights when it comes to second season right now is Hercules versus Jack the Ripper. So before I even get into this fight, right? I got a question. Is there like something going on with like Japan and like Jack the Ripper when it comes to anime? Because like if you notice, there's a lot of freaking like media in general that always kind of highlights Jack the Ripper. I know Jack the Ripper was a very menacing person, right? But it's just like every time we have to do it, we always talking about Jack the Ripper. It's just it's always so odd to me that we have him always come up and be shown like this. And there's different iterations of his character and how they want to tell a story, but it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And it's kind of weird that we kind of over glorify this man in a way because this dude was a serial killer. So like at the end of the day, we probably shouldn't really be messing like that, but I digress. It's always been a weird talking point for me when it comes to this Jack the Ripper character in general. It's just like, why does it always have to be the case here? You know what I mean? But I have to admit, the fight was actually kind of lit. Hercules loves mankind. Basically, that's like his main shtick here. He was a human that became a god. He was one of those dudes that fought against another god. And it was like, was Thor, I think it was Thor, right? And he was like, dang, they became best friends just because that guy's the GOAT. Hercules is the GOAT. And he ended up pretty much drinking this water or whatever the case is. It was, I believe it was like part of Zeus or something like that. And he ended up obtaining the power to be able to fight, to be able to keep fighting like as a god and fighting as a god and everything. So that's why they say, you know what? Why not just become a god? That way you can also still protect the human race as well. You can be their ambassador and all that stuff. And he's like, you know what? I guess I will. So he always had a love for mankind no matter what. And Jack the Ripper, he was that kind of guy that's, he has like this eye and he can see how people feel, basically. That's ultimately what we can say. You know how they feel when he can see that. And so he looks at Hercules. He's like, he's never scared. He ain't never scared. He ain't never scared. He's literally never scared. Even at the face of death, he was not scared. He was like, I just want you to be able to be free, be happy. All right, I want you to be happy. For real. That's kind of what he was. Like, the way he kind of viewed humanity is just something that is unheard of, basically, when it comes to Hercules and how he portrayed himself here and how Jack the Ripper kind of looked at him and is like, man, this dude's an amazing man. Like, he actually, I think, felt guilt or felt some type of, like, remorse or some way, right, for killing this guy, because it's like, he's too good. He's too good of a guy. Also, Thumps, welcome in, Thumper. I appreciate you dropping by real quick. We're talking about Record of Ragnarok. But ultimately, Jack the Ripper did win the fight. The weapon he had was actually pretty good. There's these gloves that allow him to pretty much make anything a divine weapon. So he even used his own blood to make it into a divine weapon, because divine weapons are what can actually hurt gods in the first place. And so we have it to where it's like, I think it's 2-2 at the moment. It is 2-2 at the moment when it comes to the gods winning and the humans winning. So it's a nice struggle that's going on here that's happening right now. And they almost had another like almost skirmish with all the humans that already fought with some of the other gods. They almost kind of ran into each other until Zeus came through and Odin, I believe, stopped the entire altercation. By the way, Odin in this is very, very interesting. It's funny because I'm playing God of War right now. This Odin versus the other Odin in God of War is very different. Very different. it's like night and day, literally. So, yeah, but this is some good stuff. Like, I do like the story, ultimately, of how it's being told. I just wish the animation was better. That's my main gripe, ultimately, at the end of the day, when it comes to this adaptation. This is a very good and interesting idea of what they're doing here, and maybe I should start reading the manga. I won't lie. Like, the manga does seem very enticing at this point, because I do enjoy the story and what is being told here. And I think just like Netflix need to start stepping their game up when it comes to animation and stop playing around, because I don't know what they're doing. But it's part of the reason why I'm not the biggest ambassador when it comes to Netflix and them having anime to begin with, because they're not always the best when it comes to adapting things and just being able to release this stuff in a timely manner. You know, I like the fact that they're now taking that time to actually release things on a episode to episode basis, which is what they're doing with Vinland Saga. So thank God, because they should have did that with JoJo, because JoJo Part 6 literally died because of that. Like no one talked about it in any capacity, and that's what happens. Sometimes the weekly format allows for conversations, allows for people to expect something. You know, they anticipate for the next episode. That is why it's there. That's why that format is there. Binge watching can't always be the best thing here. We did talk about that a little bit last time. We were talking about within seasonal talk. So it's just a shame. But when it comes to Ragnarok, I'm not hating on it. I give it a clean like 7.5. Maybe a 7. I'll give it 7.5 because I wish the animation was better. But that's like the only gripe I really have with it so far. Because like they could do a lot better here, but I give it like a 7.5. It's not bad so far. It's not bad. I'm currently on another fight at the moment, but I wanted to talk about that because I finished that entire fight. So we're not done with the other fight that's happening currently right now with the other god that's happening. So we'll get into that maybe another time when we start talking about more of Record of Ragnarok if we keep this on the seasonal talk. And also, hey, Anna, welcome in. I see you lurking. Appreciate you dropping by. Hope you're all right. Hope you're good. With that though, let us continue on to the next episode. Next anime. Look at me. And that is Trigun Stampede. Okay, this thing has been hitting all cylinders. If you're not watching this show already, I just want to tell you this right now. Like, stop the live stream. Go watch this anime. This anime great. This is great, actually. This is not just good. This is great. This is some good stuff right now. So, with last week's episode and this week's episode, we'll start with last week. That episode pretty much featured Wolfwood the entire way. The man is here, and we get to see this gigantic cross gun that he got. It thing looks marvelous in the CG. I cannot lie. That thing is beautiful looking. I'm like, I don't know, it fits so good. They're doing such a good job. Why is the CG so good in the show? Like, what is going on here? How are they doing this? It's so consistent and so consistently good that I'm loving it. I'm freaking loving it. But Wolfwood's character is also something I really enjoy. But there's always some, like, of course, some undertone with this guy. Because he's like, I think he's working with this other group. And why he's around Vash in the first place. I think he might be doing some, like, scouting or something going on right now. But it's very interesting what's going on with this character. But besides that, he's freaking cool. All right? He's like a priest guy. And, you know, he's not really that good at his job necessarily the way he is. Like, I don't know. He's a weird guy. But they fought against this, like, I guess, bug person, I'm assuming. That's the best way I kind of explain it, because he has like fireflies and the things like that kind of follow him. But this dude is not human. He's not regular. He's not a regular kind of sucker. There's a lot of like supernatural stuff going on within the show. It's not just like grounded to reality. It's whatever this crap is on the moon, and these moon people coming back and doing all this kind of crap. Freaking Knives just being a goddamn menace all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because I think they work under Knives to some degree, but it's just like, there's a lot going on when it comes to the power scaling with some of this. And I'm looking at Vash, like, I understand that he's trying not to kill and all that, but they was fighting against this big gigantic mumbo jumbo dude. Like, the regular bullets ain't working. Like, what are you gonna do? This is why Wolfwood came in clutch with this, because this gun actually seems to have that same like ancient technology. So that's why he has like this laser that can even pierce even some of the toughest of armors. So that's why he can actually do something in the first place. So Wolfwood comes in clutch a lot of times within this episode and in this week's episode as well. But last week's episode, I liked it. Very solid stuff. I enjoyed it because Wolfwood is now on the scene. He's one of my favorite characters actually in the show. So it's nice to see him back up in here and just doing his goddamn thing. So with this week's episode, though, for Trigun Stampede, it was a very emotional one. I didn't expect this at all. The way the story kind of played out is that Vash knew this kid from a while ago, and he wanted to actually help this kid out, but he couldn't do it at the time. But he's like, I will come back and I'll be helping you and everything. I will get you out of the situation. Don't worry. That's his promise to the child, right? Unfortunately, the child got experimented on, and I think these people work under actually Knives and everything like that, right? They ended up like transforming this kid into this abomination. He don't even look the same anymore. It's terrible. The type of torture and things that they did to this child and where he's at now and how they placed him is so bad. And Vash actually understood and knew who this person was that was chasing after him. And he's like, oh my God. It's you. I gotta find a way to try to save you. But the thing is, I think he's too far gone. The way he was messed with, what he was experimenting on, there's nothing he can do. There's nothing he can do. So this comes to that whole moral dilemma that happens here, because Wolfwood ultimately is the one that takes out that child or that person, because he's not really a child at this point. He look like he's like an abomination, really. But he takes him out, headshot and everything, and Vash is like upset about this. But Wolfwood is saying, "Hey, I did this to put him out of his misery. He is suffering. He is legitimately suffering in the body that he's in at this point, because there's nothing he can do about that." You know, it still seems like he had his humanity to some extent, because Vash was able to kind of like talk him down to not fight. But regardless, I don't know, even if like they did stop fighting, like what could Vash do to reverse the effects that everything that had happened to him? Because I don't think there's anything he could do. So it's just like one of those unfortunate situations, unfortunate events where it just like it hurts seeing that whole thing happen. And it kind of goes back to Vash being super passive, not wanting to actually shoot his gun, to not actually harm anybody at the end of the day. It's really started to become an actual issue with this. Knives is currently trying to test Vash. That's what he's trying to do. He's really trying to put him in a corner to where he has to go back to Knives. That's the only way. That's the only way he sees it. And if he ain't if he ain't gonna have that happen, he's gonna keep doing stuff like this. Find anybody that Vash cares about and do something to him. That's literally what he's doing. That's why he's a humanoid typhoon, technically speaking, because Knives keeps putting in situations where it's actually harming people that are around Vash in the first place, to make it where he can't care about nobody. So the people that are following him right now, they need to watch out. Wolfwood need to watch out. Like, this whole thing's they ain't looking too good. But it was an incredible episode. Incredible emotional ride that happened here. I give this episode this week like a 9 out of 10. I kind of want to almost give it a freaking 10 out of 10. That episode was great. That episode was really freaking good. Last week's episode, I give that an 8 out of 10. Very solid episode last week, but this week episode here, it was something else. It was definitely something else. But did it actually win the winner of Anime of the Week this week or last week? We'll still find out. Gotta watch it. You gotta stay tuned. But with that, let us continue on. To the next episode. Next anime. I keep saying episode. Anime. It's like no, you don't know. You don't know, Ace. You don't know. Welcome in, my brother. All right, let's continue. And we got look out. Freaking Blue Lock in the goddamn building. All right, this is actually an easy way to actually summarize both episodes, because this episode deals with Shigiri and Kunigami. They came back. They got a team going, you know what I'm saying? The person that was working with Nagi, I can't remember the guy's name, but that's pretty much who is with Kunigami and Shigiri, and they're a very solid team, and we're already doing this. I didn't see us coming. We're already freaking doing this. Like, we're still so early in the tournament, and we're about to actually take somebody out here. Like, I know Isagi's not gonna lose again. We're not letting that happen. I don't see it happening. But they challenged Isagi and his team, and I'm just like, no, not right now. So I'm conflicted. Because I like Kunigami, I like Shigiri. Those are my characters. I love these guys, right? God, I got no case for this. I mean, I did everyone in the Discord, just so you know. So if you didn't even get that, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But I was not expecting like them to have this soccer game already. Like I was like, all right, then I guess we're really about to do this. This is a high stakes game, and so they got the challenge. They decided to do the challenge, but we got to get the king under locks, because within this week's episode, boy, freaking Barrow, this guy. He is so far. How did he last as long as he did? It makes no sense. I know he's great, right? He's a great soccer player at the end of the day. But just because you're individually great doesn't mean you're actually just great. Like you need to be able to have team effort and a team type of psychology there. Like in some capacity, you can't expect everything to go to you. Like if that's the case, everybody just goes to you because they know that you're trying to score, because you're not going to pass the ball. That's how ball hogging you are. Why are you trash? Like, that's the problem with Barrow right now. Like, he's actually making it to where Isagi and Nagi are actually losing this game. He's literally the weakest link in the group. Even though he is as good as he is the weakest link to this group. And it's like, bro, how? So, like, well, we know how. And it's just like, it's frustrating to see. And Isagi's been trying his best to try to see if he can actually have a chemical reaction with them. You have some type of reaction, you know what I'm saying? He wants that type of energy, that type of connection, but it's not happening because he doesn't want it to happen. And that's what's so frustrating about this whole thing. Now, when it comes to Nagi and Isagi, oh man, they freaking feeling. They are literally carrying the team right now. Way they're freaking like the way they're co-oping together. Oh my god, this just freaking freaking beautiful. But that's not to say that Chigiri and Kunigami are actually doing their thing too. Their whole team unit is a unit. They're a very solid team. So I like what I'm seeing here. You know what I'm saying? So we out here really making this thing work, making this thing goddamn work. And it's kind of funny too because I remember they were actually talking about who they're gonna take ultimately. And when it comes to Asagi's team, everybody has a different opinion on who they should take on the squad. Basically, everybody has a reason for who they would rather take, basically, to be in their team if they win. That's the whole thing, and that's where the dilemma is for them. When it comes to Chigiri and their team, it's more or less, obviously, I think they say that, if I remember correctly, I think they said actually Nagi. I think that's what it was. I don't know if they said Baro, but I think it's Nagi because he's that type of guy. Regardless, they all they all more or less agreed. Well, Kunigami and Chigiri did, but obviously the other guy said no because he's like, nah, I ain't trying to have. I want to destroy Nagi. I want him out of my life. That's what he wants to do. And welcome in, Fortunate. Welcome in. We're talking about Blue Lock right now, and this show is just freaking lit, and it's only getting better and better. So we have this whole fight right now, and with this last episode here, I believe it was a tie game at the end, and its last goal wins. So next week's episode is gonna be the one. It's gonna be the one where we're gonna see Isagi more or less win because Isagi is literally going in. He is legitimately going in this episode. Like, holy crap, he ended up using the king because they know that if we don't guard him, he will be scoring. So he used that to his advantage and is using him as bait basically to be able to get Nagi to score and or himself. And it's just like, bro, like he is being a massive playmaker and looking like a goddamn goat. Looking like a goddamn goat, like for real. Welcome in, Quetz. How we doing, my guy? How we doing? But overall, this show, if you're not watching Blue Lock, I don't know what you're waiting for. This show is freaking great. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. And so far, we have this whole dynamic going on already. I don't know what's about to happen here. I know what's about to happen, but I don't know who they're going to take. That's the question here. Like, once they win, who are they going to take for the team? If it was me, out of Chigiri, Kunigami, or the other guy, I kind of want to go over Chigiri because Chigiri, that speed really comes into play in a lot of ways. But Kunigami is no slouch either. It's like you can't go wrong with either of them, honestly, any of them, honestly. They're all good players, so you're not really struggling to actually have that issue. I just want to go with the other guy only because he has some mental issues. Like he has like problems with Nagi. So he's like super focused on that, having issues with him. You know, I wouldn't want to put him on the team if that was the case here. So it's between Chigiri or Kunigami, and like I said, I think I will go more to Chigiri here because he's just that guy. He is just that guy. I like how he plays. And he also actually leveled up a little bit in this game here too. So just saying, if that was me, I would choose him. But that's just my opinion. So last week's episode, I give like an 8 out of 10. This week's episode, I give a goddamn 9 out of 10. 100%. 100% 9 out of 10. It can't get any lower than that because crap's freaking fire. Fire. God dang. Well, it's kind of crazy. Yes. Crazy in the wrong ways, though, Fortunate. Crazy in the goddamn wrong ways. He's frustrating me. It's like there is no I in team. No matter how good one person is, you still need a team and team effort to actually win. You can't just do everything yourself. You're not that good of a goat. Like, no matter who you are, you're not that good of a goat to take on a whole team by yourself, okay? Like, it's frustrating to see that him just, like, honestly underestimate his other opponents. That's what he's doing. That's not good. I know you're supposed to be the king, but you also need to recognize real and recognize real, all right? When real recognizes real, you gotta recognize, okay? Recognize. But that's how I feel about it. What do y'all think about this week's episode and last week's episode of Blue Lock? Did y'all love it like I did? I don't know. Please tell me in the comment section below. But with that said, let us continue. And yes, we have My Hero Academia. So this is very, very interesting. The last 2 episodes here. The last episode dealt with everything when it comes to Shoto's family. When it comes to Dabi and everything that's going on with him. This goddamn child. It's weird, right? We actually get to see how he kind of like was parenting him like back in the day. I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting a lot worse. I was honestly the way they expressed it initially, within the show, they made me think that this dude Endeavor was just out here just doing all kinds of things to these kids. You know what I'm saying? Because he was not getting the right child to be able to succeed over him and an All Might. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, Toya, aka Dabi, had that type of will in place onto him because of his father, of Endeavor, right? So he had this whole like one-track mind to be like, I can do it. I can be the one. You don't have the fire and ice ability, but what he does have is an innate ability to have like really strong fire. An innate ability to have really strong fire. Like this dude's fire is like off the charts, right? So like, here's my like argument or annoyance with this whole thing. The kid ultimately wanted to do what you wanted to do, right? So my thing is, I know you didn't want to like handle him because he didn't get the ice ability. I understand that, but you still could actually just straight up train him because he was training on the side by himself alone. So that's more dangerous, right? And you don't want him to hurt himself, right? So what you could at least done, Endeavor, is at some point put him on your wings just even a little bit to train the kid to know how to even use his ability so he's not hurting himself. He could have at least done that. But he was just being complete trash and then passed on all the responsibilities onto the mother. And the mother was no better either because she was just like, you know what? I don't really like this guy. Well, see, my thing is here's the thing actually. Like, even though the mom was no better, the problem is, and I don't know where he got this from. Toya is like sexist as heck. This dude was like, his mother shouldn't be doing stuff like this. Like he was pretty much saying, get back in the kitchen. Like that's literally what this freaking kid was saying. It's like, where did he get this sexism from? Like, I don't think Endeavor was talking like that. So it's like, where was he getting this from? It made no sense when I was watching the show, and I was like, huh? Like what's going on here? Like why is he just trash? Like god dang. Yeah, exactly. He's at that photo. It's just like, come on now. Shoto has the wrong backstory and put in his head. Yeah, exactly. It was just put into his head and everything. It's just so weird because like there's so much things they could have done to prevent this situation. Ultimately, like there's a lot of things that could have been done here, but no one decided to do anything, and that's why this thing got out of control. And now he's like a whole villain because of neglect, because of simply neglect. That's literally what it was. To why he is the way he is. They neglected him. Now he out here being a whole villain and laughing at his father, crying on TV and crying like, yeah, he's trying to be a hero again. I'm about to knock this sucker out. Like that's what he's pretty much doing right now. It's like, bro. So that was last week's episode. It's just like, bro, it was a lot. It was still sad. Don't get me wrong. I still feel in some ways for Endeavor because he messed up and he feels so bad about it. And he was crying the whole episode. And I was like, God dang. I felt bad. And other people start coming in too, and he's like, dang, like, you just couldn't stop crying. I do feel bad for him. But at the same time, you put this on yourself. You could have done more, but you didn't. And that's on you. Now you gotta live with those consequences. I don't think he never knew how to heal his burn when he hurt himself. Yeah, more than likely. I'm just saying that he could have at least done some type of heal his burn. Yeah, I don't think he does. I don't think he never knows how to do a lot of things. It's weird, right? Because like, again, we talked about this before where like, why can't Endeavor just make a suit that protects him? Why is it actually hurting him? It doesn't make any sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense with the technology and the funds that they were having to not have the #1 hero have a suit that doesn't hurt him. It's like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. Like, why aren't we doing this? It's weird to me. Hey, Avatar, welcome in. We're just talking about this week's episode and last week's episode of My Hero Academia. We're still on last week's episode. How'd you feel about Avatar? How'd you feel about it? Because like I said, like I just feel like either Endeavor or the mother, one of the two could have done something for Toya, so we wouldn't have spiraled in this type of way in the first place. But it still ultimately falls on Endeavor because Endeavor put that that thought in his mind that he should be able to pass over the number one hero. That was all his fault right there. And then he put all the responsibility. Once he finally had the fire and ice ability, that's when Shoto just got freaking like abused and used the entire time. But it's still weird that they didn't really showcase like, just how bad it was is the thing here. Because the way they explained it a lot of the times, it should have been like worse than that. But regardless, it's still a shame. And hopefully they can find a way to try to like rebuild this relationship with the family, and it seems like they're trying to, but again, Toya is gonna get in the goddamn way. He's like, nah, sucker, I'm ready to fight my father. I want to go. I want to throw hands with him. I want to throw hands with him. So when it comes to this week's episode of My Hero Academia, this is where I become more conflicted, honestly. And I don't know how y'all feel about this, but pretty much this actually starts the actual vigilante arc for Deku, because Deku ultimately leaves UA because he has to protect his friends. He knows that Shigaraki is after him and after One For All. So therefore, he's like, you know what? To not have them in danger, I will go away and I will deal with this on my own, which is like stupid. Why does everybody think that? That's like, I don't understand why that's the case here. Sometimes it's better to have some type of protection. Do you not see what Shigaraki is doing? Like, did you upgrade yourself to some way? Like, what's going on here? I don't understand why you would think that's a good idea necessarily, but it is what it is. So he did this. So that's ultimately like the episode there, but it's just frustrating to see that he's making this type of move, and I get it, but come on. But the other thing is, like, people actually now know what One For All is. It's been actually talked about a lot, even on the news at this point. So they're trying to figure out what that even is at this point now. And All Might did actually explain this to Hawks and Best Genius. So he did actually explain the ability ultimately to them. So I'm assuming this is going to be a widespread information of news of how this stuff gets passed on. Also within this episode too, almost forgot, we actually had a whole like talking to with Deku with all of his other past users, successors. So they all kind of talk and they're pretty much telling him, hey, you're going to have all of our abilities. We need to all come together. We need to unlock this entire thing because you're going to have to be able to fight Shigaraki. Can you kill him? Obviously, he's like, no, I feel like he was actually sad. I'm going to talk no jutsu him out of the way. Pretty much what he's saying. So he's going to do it. He's going to pull a Naruto Nagato on him. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's about to do that to him, basically. One other big thing that actually happens here, which kind of confused me. So maybe you guys can help me out here and talk about this real quick. I'm not sure why this is the case necessarily, but they were pretty much saying that Deku is going to be the last one in line for the succession of power, so he can't pass on the ability anymore. So my question is, why can't he? I don't understand exactly why he can't. They also explained too that Deku, the reason why it works for him and also works for All Might is because they were actually quirkless. So that's why they're able to actually utilize the ability and have it for much longer. Those that already have a quirk and they take on this ability, they die sooner apparently as well. So that's kind of like one of the caveats to the whole thing here. That's why we still see All Might still alive even to this day. But my question comes back to that. It's like, why can't he pass on the ability anymore? That's the thing here. Unless he has to just only pass it on to people with no quirks is what it is. Is that what it is? I think it's okay. Yeah. The mother put all the blame on the father, but she also responsible. Yeah, exactly. 100%. She's responsible too. She was neglectful. She didn't really do much of anything either. She could have done something, but she didn't do anything at all. Granted, like I said, I don't know how much she even could have done, simply because Toya was kind of sexist. So it's like, even if she were to try to show him something, would Toya even listen? I don't think so. That's the thing. Like, Toya was really bad for some reason towards his mother, and it's like, why? Or they put the better in the white. Yeah, exactly. I think the float quirk from Nana makes Uraka. I mean, not necessarily. The difference between okay, wait a minute. I mean, the float quirk, right, is just for the user himself to float. I don't think he can actually make other people float. Now, if he can make other people float, we have a problem here. That makes no sense. That would make no sense. I think that's what it is. The difference here is Uraka can make other people and things float. Whereas when it comes to that ability, it's just like you're just kind of floating here. But yeah, I don't think it would make it useless necessarily. It's also kind of interesting too, like some of the danger sense ability is pretty much spider senses, but it's just like more bootleg for some reason, because like the user's kind of bootleg. Like like I don't know what's up with that guy. He was a little weird to me, but So like I said, there's a lot of information that was said in this episode, and it's not like it's not like I dislike it. I just am concerned for the future of how this is actually going to be like dealt with, and how important even the other characters are even going to be at this point, because there is a power scaling issue already happening within the show in of itself. Like Shigaraki is so powerful that it's actually disgusting how strong he is, and then Deku pretty much has to come to that point sooner than later is what's about to happen here. So he's gonna have all the abilities like unlocked for him, and my thing is how he's gonna train for it, because then he has to, because usually somebody helps him train and all that stuff, but he's never good by himself to try to learn these abilities. Like, I just don't see this working out the way he thinks it's gonna work. Because I understand him trying to be a vigilante, given that the system's already all messed up, and I know that heroes are trying to like apologize on TV that, hey, I messed up, they're never saying put all the blame on me, put the blame on me. That's what they said, right? That's what he wants. But it's like, I don't know if there's a way to fix this situation at this point. I think UA is in a weird predicament. They're also evacuating everybody into UA because of like how big the situation is and how problematic it is with all the villains out here just doing things. So they got you trying to like center everybody and try to protect everyone as much as they can. But how many people actually listen? That's the question here. Because, you know, there are, anytime you try to do that with any kind of government, there's always gonna be people that are gonna like disagree or just not do anything. Like, I'm gonna stay at my house. I don't care about no villain. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be a whole thing. It's gonna be disgusting. It's gonna be disgusting. I do think can use a rocket quirk in the war arc 100%. Like, honestly, Uraraka's quirk is very, very good because she can float. She can make anybody float. It helps to be able to avoid Shigaraki's ability. Like, Uraraka's actually very, very useful. If that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm wondering how important all these other characters are gonna be. Like, Uraraka needs to step up. I'm tired of seeing just Bakugo, Deku, and Shoto. Like, we have other characters, and Uraraka is like a gold mine of a character that he has right there. Just develop this chick, please. It's like she's right there. She has actual combat prowess. She knows how to actually just fight in general because of the training she got. On top of our actual ability, it can be very creative on things you can do. It's like there's so much you can do here, but I just don't think they're gonna do that with Uraraka. Uraraka, I think, is just gonna be love-struck Deku kind of the whole way. And now, you know what? This reminds me a little bit of Naruto in a way, right? This is the Naruto Sakura situation. Not Naruto. It's the Sasuke and Sakura situation where Sasuke ends up leaving and Sakura is gonna be like, I gotta go find him. I gotta get him back and all this. This is pretty much what this arc is. It's pretty much that, basically. Now I'm thinking about it. I don't know how they gonna fix their messes. Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna fix that. Like, there's no way of fixing it. I think it's just pretty much done. I don't think there's a way of fixing it at this point. Side characters need to stand out and need to stand out and step up. There's too many side characters, for that matter, for them to not step up to some degree. It doesn't make any sense why they're not doing that. It's not even just the first class, but it's like class B as well. There's so many of them that can need to step up and be more seen. Because honestly, to me, I don't really care about the class 2B. You know, I don't care about that class because like they didn't really make me care about them like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. Like, get them out. Oh, well, yeah. See, now I'm thinking about it. I just thought about it. That whole war fight and everything. Those suckers just like left, like, or they were there, but they didn't do nothing. Like, nobody really did anything. Like, I don't understand how you have all these characters, but you barely do anything with it. It's just weird to me. Yeah, side characters don't matter. They really don't. That's what it seems like to me. It's like they don't seem to matter that much, and it's a shame. You take a page out of Assassination Classroom book. They do, but they're scared to actually veer away from like Deku, Shoto, or Bakugo. It seems like they think that we always want to see them, but that's not even the case here. Honestly, they can just take a step out of what Naruto even did. Naruto didn't develop everybody, but everybody had some shine. They did. The whole Sasuke retrieval arc, there was full-on fights with Neji, Rock Lee, you know, Tamari, you know, like Kankuro, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all these, everybody got some type of shine to some degree. That's what made that stuff amazing. And then even the Chunin exams, everybody got their shine for that as well. It's like, there are blueprints right in front of your face that you can follow to make sure that these characters actually matter. Like, Naruto's characters, for instance, when it comes to Inosuke Cho, they're so developed that they can have their own show without a question, have their own show. It's not even a problem. Rock Lee, literally had his own show because he's that guy with my guy. Tamario unfortunately didn't get that much development, but it is what it is. But Neji had a lot of development too within his family, like within his family. Shoto, like I can go on. I can go on. Feel like it's too late and they can't make the side characters interesting this far into the series. I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, at least with UA, the first class, like with Uraka, with Froppy, that's the only two I actually really honestly care about. Like, I kind of care about those two. Like, the other ones, I don't, Like, cause like the whole Sugar Rush guy is kind of trash. All he does is, like, if he eats more sugar, he gets stronger. There's a limit to that. Like, this guy is actually, he's like a trash ability. Like, like there's a few that got like their abilities. That was the dude with the freaking calling the birds and stuff. Like, oh my goodness. It's like, I mean, it's good for reconnaissance, but like, what's he doing to fight? What's he doing? He's not gonna go get one punch and it's over for him. I mean, there's some bad characters in there. But there are some good ones too that they can utilize a little bit more. I mean, it's funny enough, the good ones are actually the females. Now I'm thinking about it, but they like the creator's like, I'm not trying to do that. Oh, is it? Is it about to end? I'm not sure actually. I mean, I don't read the manga, so I'm not sure what's going on here. He wants to always show tutorial. Exactly. The ultimate fans of them want to see them, and that's why I love Naruto for exactly, right? Like, we've had whole like sections even within the anime where it didn't even focus on Naruto. It focused on other people because we need to have that focus. It's okay to veer away from the main character. This is actually why I like Bleach in a lot of ways too. They did the same thing. Like, Ichigo isn't always the center focus of everything, Now, he is still important, obviously, but there were moments even with the other characters where they had their moments in their time to shine, which we'll even see right now in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc when it continues. Urui was about to get some love here, but that's what I'm saying. It's like they're not utilizing this stuff properly, and they could do more, but they're not. That's the shame thing. It's just a shame. It's just a shame. They need to be flushed out in the beginning stages of the stories. Yeah, it's true. They actually do care about them, that's true too. But it's not like it's not like it's too far gone where they can't start developing them even now to make you start caring about them at least a little bit more. It's not like they didn't put some development towards them. That's why I go back to Uraka. Uraka has a lot of development already. It's just a matter of actually continuing developing her. They stopped her and halted her development because she became love struck with Deku. That's when she became just a side character 100%. She could have easily be more even right now if they just let her step up a little bit, but they're not allowing that to happen for some reason. And I just like come on now. Yes, the manga is in the last. Oh, really now? Oh, interest. Oh, wait. So we're getting wait. So I guess anime technically is getting closer to the end too. If that's the case, then okay, then holy crap. He has a problem. Don't put that many characters if you don't got. Honestly, 100% fortunate you're speaking facts right now. I hate when creators do that. I understand wanting to make a gigantic world. And this is actually, I'm not going to lie, this is actually a bit of a problem with even One Piece. Like, I love One Piece, but One Piece has way too many characters. And nobody dies in that show. So it's just like, not everybody's going to be important. Not everybody, you're not going to remember everybody like that. There's just so many characters in there. And it's like, at a point now, I think we need to stop. I think we need to stop. The world is more than fleshed out. There's no reason to keep throwing these other characters up in here. We need to start developing even the current characters we have now, like the Gurusei and like some of these other people that we just haven't really seen. This hasn't really been around that long. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things they could do when it comes to that. But yeah, One Piece still does a good job ultimately at being able to flesh them out and rotate them and do what they need to do. But I'm just saying, like, the crew has problems even right now when it comes to how they do the fight structure. The fight structure is really all over the place, and I don't like reading it a lot of the times. It's way better when you watch it in the anime versus when you're reading it, because it's like it just jumps around way too much, and it feels so clunky and misfocused in a lot of ways. But those are just my little gripes when I have for One Piece at times. I'm not gonna lie, but it's still good. It's still some good stuff. It's into the final act stage, final act saga. As I'm saying, like, we're actually getting really close. I didn't expect that then. Okay, man. I don't know how I feel about this now. Now I'm kind of concerned. With all that said, I said a lot about this show. I do like the information, a lot of the things that was going on with the show here. I will probably give it both like a solid 8 out of 10. There were solid episodes. It's not that they're bad. No, you know what? No. I will give last week's episode an 8.5. That emotional scene did get me a little bit. Like all that stuff right there with the family, it did get me a little bit. I still don't understand why the mother and the father was like where they are, but it is what it is. Like it, I'll give that one 8.5 out of 10, and then this week's episode 8 out of 10 because it was still solid at the end of the day. It just I don't know, or I'm concerned about the future of My Hero Academia is my thing. That is my thing here. I hate that Uraka became Hinata 2.0 with Deku. Exactly. And even then Hinata was doing exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like even Hinata's actually a great. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Fortunate. Hinata is a great example of a character that's kind of like Uraka, where she didn't get to do much of anything until way later on. She had her moment initially, just like Uraka did with Bakugo, right? But then after that, she was just kind of like in the back for a little bit. But she's always rooted for Naruto and was always kind of seen there. And you could tell she has some actual techniques and some style there. And we did even have an episode that ultimately focused on her to where it showed like, hey, she is developing, she is getting better. And then we finally started seeing other moments where she decides to really step up for Naruto, especially within the war. You know what I mean? That was way later on, but they still did it. And it's like, it still mattered in a way, and you still felt it because you still feel for these characters to some degree. But it also helps that you did do the building blocks to build that up, like Avatar's saying. That's why I'm like, Uraka and Froppy are the ones that need that development to continue onwards because those are the two that have a lot more development than some of the other side characters that they can use and utilize. All right, I keep coming in here with my hero hate. No, hey, bro, it's all good. It's all good, Avatar. I'm having my issues with the show too, honestly, and I want it to be great. That's the thing. Like I like this show. Don't get me wrong. I like this show. It's just that I can see some of the issues that are going on with it, and just things that can be easily rectified if just taking some time with it. But it's like the creator doesn't really want to do that. He's too hyper focused, like on Deku, even on the villains in a lot of ways. The villains got quite a bit of development outside of that. What, alligator guy? That guy's kind of, well, at least in the anime, he ain't really getting much, and I don't know what he can even do. I don't even know why he's there, to be honest with you. But I digress. Yeah. The one with Pain is definitely not as defining moment. It's either that or the defining moment after the whole thing with Neji and Hinata literally slapping this boy back into reality. He said, "No, look, I know what happened, but we got to get this going. We got to make this like Hinata's always been there. That's what I'm saying. Like Hinata's always been there to try to take care of this boy. That's why I did it together in the first place. That's why I did ultimately. I'm okay with the Naruhina ship because like Sakura was gonna do that. Sakura was just too worried about freaking Sasuke. Yeah, and Neji versus Hinata. That's another defining moment. That's what I'm saying. Like Hinata actually has some good moments within the show. So, and I'm saying like it's kind of similar to Uraka, and Uraka can do some more things like this too. But those are my ratings for the show. We have one more show to talk about, and that is Vinland Saga. Vinland Sagas. This one could be pretty short for the most part because last week's episode, that freaking Elfon dude kind of annoyed me a little bit. That's why it annoyed me a little bit because like he kind of started finding out that Thorfinn is kind of a goon a little bit, right? Like he's killed a lot of people that like Thorfinn doesn't remember how many people he killed because he asked the questions like, "How many walkers did you kill and why?" He did the whole Rick Grimes thing, and Thorfinn's like, "Bro, I killed so many. I don't remember. It's just like it is what it is, like, I'm doing the mission, my guy. Like, I mean, he out here trying to live. When this type of environment in this type of world, you can't just be nice. You kind of have to. It's either it's a dog eat dog world out here. Basically, you got to kind of survive out here, and that's the only way you can do is by killing. Unfortunately, because that's the Viking way. So he upset about that so much so that when Thorfinn was asleep, he was like trying to choke him out. I was like, sucker. You actually gonna kill him? He said, and then Thorfinn's just sitting there taking it too. He's like, you know what? Honestly, I kind of want to die. He's like, he doesn't want to be here. Like Thorfinn is so broken, and it hurts to see. It hurts to see him like this because holy crap, he's just like he's a broken man, and he doesn't really want to snap out of it. And I don't know what he can do to get him out of that like this fixation that he has at this point. It hurts. It hurts to see. And ultimately, Elfin didn't do it, but it's just like, bro. You got to understand how the world is, and it ain't so apples to oranges. Like, you got lucky that you're even in this type of environment of, like, a slave kind of thing, because the slave owner is not even, like, a bad guy, it seems like. So, even though a slave still being a slave, it's still bad. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, he ain't forcing you to really do much anything, it looks like. outside of that, you have those freaking people out there trying to test them. You know, the helpers. You know, one of the helpers, like I guess he's one of the main guys. He ended up kind of like activating Thorfinn's fight or flight mode because it kind of reminded him of Askeladd, and he's like, he started going to the mode, and he's like, oh, yo, you can fight. So everybody saw that. So I wonder if they're gonna try to test him some more, which concerns me. He also lost a bit of his ear, like freaking Mick Foley. But I digress. I'm finally caught up. Let's freaking go, baby. Let's go. I'm glad you're caught up. So I'm talking about last week's episode, but that episode was good. The episode was good. I mean, like the whole moral dilemma that was kind of happening with that. It frustrates me to see, but it's like he needs to start understanding how the world even works at this point. With what you're living, you just saw it firsthand. These suckers pillaging your village and killing your mother and your sister. It's like you've seen how goon these people are. It's not like Thorfinn necessarily was maybe doing all that kind of stuff, but you become numb to it because you got to survive out here. That's the problem. That's just the problem in general. I'm actually really enjoying Einar, thank you. Einar and Thorfinn's relationship. I'm liking it too. I'm hoping that Einar is gonna be the guy, gonna be the one that kind of like snap him out of this to get him back to like in his fighting form. Because I want to see him get back out there and get his stuff done, to get his groove back. You know, get Cusco's groove back. I need that to happen. Okay. God dang. But that was last week's episode. This week's episode followed nothing but Canute and his exploits. That's the word I was looking for before I was like streaming. I was trying to ask what it was. It's just all his exploits. We get to see everything he's pretty much done after the whole Askeladd situation, and he became a G. And there's an actual parallel we're seeing here between Canute and Thorfinn. Canute used to be a very passive, I don't want to fight kind of character, very sad and timid. You know what I mean? That's what Thorfinn is currently right now. He's very timid, very just sad. He don't want to fight. He's docile. He doesn't want to do any of that. Whereas now Canute, this dude out here being a goddamn goat. This dude is doing underhanded methods of taking over power and stuff like that. So now he is the rightful king at this goddamn point after everything he's done, all the exploits he has done so far. So it's insane how he really grew up to be able to be that guy. Because he is literally now that guy. He has a gold teeth and everything. This dude is a goat now, literally. So it was pretty impressive to kind of see how that whole thing kind of played out at the end of here, at the end of this episode here. Yeah, it's Canute's development has been insane. It's incredible where he started from to where he is at right now. This is the starter from the bottom, now we're here story for real. Like, holy crap. And one other thing when it comes to his like methods, they're very dirty and underhanded. It reminded me a lot of Ghost of Tsushima. If you've ever played that game, you would know that later, as you know, there's supposed to be a warrior code, right? And Vikings have this kind of same warrior code too, because they want to go Valhalla and they always want to fight to the death to be able to go into Valhalla. That's the whole thing here. Well, Canute don't care about that. Canute out here poisoning suckers and just doing underhand methods and things to kill people in any way he can to be able to get where he needs to get to. And that's the same thing with Ghost of Tsushima, with how the game is for that, where the samurai here, he decided, you know what? It's time to become a ninja, start poisoning people, using poison darts and stuff. Like, I got to be able to protect my people in any way possible and not worry about the honor of everything that's going on here. You know? So people are going to be pushing back on that, obviously. But Canute did what he did. He did what he did. Yeah, there's some interesting parallels there. Einar is basically Thorfinn if he stayed in his village. You know, 100% facts. True. Very, very true, actually, about that. Yeah. Because he's very naive and he's not understanding of what the actual world is out there. He's always ever known is farming and having peace, actually. This is like the first time he had this type of opposition to be out there and run into these type of issues in the first place. So he doesn't understand how this stuff works. So that's a great example, actually. That's a great example of Avatar. Kuna's just thinking about the end game. He doesn't care how he gets there. Yeah. That's more than likely gonna be his downfall. That's usually everybody's downfall when it comes to these type of stories. That once you start doing underhanded methods, those same underhanded methods are gonna come back to get you at some point. That's what's gonna happen here. Since you want to use poison, the other people are going to start using poison as well to take you out. That's what they're going to do. So you got to watch yourself out here since you're out here doing these type of acts. Like, come on now. He has to expect that. Hopefully he knows. But I love the fact at the end of the day Askeladd was that guy. He is such a pivotal character that not only did he affect the development for Thorfinn, but he affected development for other characters in the show in general. That's how amazing his character actually is. And I always say right now, like, season 1 was amazing to me. It's one of the best season 1s I've ever seen, and one of the shows that I feel is highly recommended to watch if you have not watched it yet. Like, Vinland Saga is that show. There's a reason why people highly praise the show in the first place, because of Askeladd. Askeladd is that guy. Is it, bro? Thinks he's Askeladd? Probably. He said, I got this. I don't know. But see, Askeladd can fight, though. That's the thing. Askeladd was actually he's a tactician, but he knew how to fight, too. He knew what to do, okay? He knew what to do. But overall, last week's episode, I'm going to give that one like an 8. This week's episode, 8.5. So I like what we did here when it comes to the character development for Einar and for Thorfinn, and seeing Canute where he's at right now. I am curious if he's going to try to find Thorfinn at some point. I'm wondering if he even cares. I don't know. Like I said, we need to see more of him. So I'm looking forward to seeing where else we're going to be going here. I also need to just see what is the next move for Thorfinn and Einar when it comes to this situation at hand here, because I really do believe that they're going to start messing with Thorfinn more. Ever since they seen him do those moves, they're gonna have to mess with him. I already know they're gonna do it, so it's about to be a really big problem. It is fortunate. It's a great series, and so far season 2 has yet to disappoint. It's doing its job right now. I'm enjoying the show. So like I said, 8 out of 10 for the first for last week, and this week 8.5. Very solid stuff. What do y'all rate it? Tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. With that, I think that's everything, right? Yeah, that's everything. So with that said, we're into the section now where we're gonna ask, who are the winners for last week, and who are the winners for this week when it comes to anime of the week? So when it comes to last week, I feel like there wasn't much. It wasn't as hard as it was this week. This week they had like 2 really banger episodes, right? Last week we were still kind of like building things up and stuff like that, so I don't think it was like too much competition that last week. So with last week's winner, I'm obviously gonna say it is goddamn Blue Lock. Like, Blue Lock's last. Look, again, having Chigiri and Kunigami actually facing against Isagi already is insane to me. I was not ready for that, and that episode, that build up right there, I was panicking. So I'm like, you know what? This has to win for last week without a doubt in my mind. Okay, he said Bleach, baby. Look, I wish, man. I wish Bleach was still going on right now. God dang it. But that was last week. So what about this week? Well, this week, I highly praise it already, and you might already know what it is. But it's goddamn Trigun Stampede. If you're not watching this goddamn show, this show is actually incredible. The way the animation is just popping off every single time. The story, this episode this week. Holy crap, this episode. It was very a tear-jerking moment. Just everything that went on in the episode really got me in my feels. And I was like, yeah, this has to win this week, because god dang, I was not expecting all that. Like, I was not expecting all that. Like, it was some good stuff. And just shows that Vash might have to just change his morals. Just a tad. I'm just saying, just a tad. But those are the winners for last week and for this week. I was kind of afraid the show would feel like something was missing with no Askeladd, but his presence is still in. Yeah, it still felt. It's almost like he's still there. It just shows that. Yeah, exactly, right? That's what I'm saying. That's how you know you have an amazing written character, is the fact that their presence is still affected until this day. I mean, I don't know who watches JoJo in here, but it's like Dio. Dio legitimately is like affecting every freaking arc in JoJo. That's how much influence this man has. Now that's purposeful in a way, but like at the same time, like this is to me a bit better even with how Askeladd's like character and what he did really impacted everyone in a better way than what Dio's doing, because Dio is just like he has a cause or a reason to always go back to when it comes to him. Askeladd's just that guy. That's the difference. So no, yeah, it's 100%. That's why I really like the writing of this show, and it knows what it's doing. It really knows what it's doing. But, with that said, though, we have a topic to discuss. This is the topic here. You already see it in the thumbnail, or not thumbnail, but in the title. So we're going to discuss this a little bit because there's a lot to actually discuss within this one topic here at hand, and that is AI. AI is actually starting to get into anime. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but what they're trying to do right now, they want to make it easier for the animators, basically, right? So they're trying to introduce AI to where they can the AI can draw backgrounds or something like that, right? So they don't have to have an actual person draw those backgrounds. If they eliminate that aspect of it, it makes it less work for the actual animators, and they can just focus on the characters and stuff like that, right? So that's what they're kind of thinking of doing, and they've already been trying to implement some of it here and there. So I expect to start seeing it being used in more anime here in the coming of months. I do expect to see that. I don't know if we're actually going to notice the difference, though. That's the thing. I don't know if we're actually going to see the difference when it comes to the AI and doing backgrounds. Because it's one thing when it does characters, because it has issues doing characters. You know what I mean? It still has problems with that. But when it comes to a background, there's not really much you have to do necessarily outside of cleanup work, because it will still have some errors, but that's where some of the artists come in and they do some cleanup work outside of animating. They just easily find some cleanup artists to just clean it up, and then bada boom. Yeah, you're conflicted. I'm conflicted too, because on one hand I get it. You want to be able to lessen the load on it, but what if it just starts from there, but then builds up to a point where we're oh, we don't need animators at all. We don't need animators at all. Why are we doing this when we can just have freaking cleanup artists do the work, basically, and then just have nothing but AI. That way we can cut costs in general from all of the artists that we have here that's employed. Just get them out the way. We probably only need a few, 5 or 6 people at that point to just do cleanup to make sure that it just looks good. Because there are actual moments. I'm pretty sure you guys are in the Discord. Hey Ace, if you're in here, could you actually drop some links in the anime section that showcases some AI doing some animation? Because for the stuff you were showing me, it's kind of concerning. I'm not gonna lie. It's always been a thing. Yeah, no AI. Yeah, not AI. Yeah, fortunately, it's getting bad. AI is starting to actually dive deeper into the anime industry and just into everything, honestly. Because it's not just affecting artists, but it could also potentially affect voice actors as well. A thing that Ace actually showed me as well was there's this scene in Elden Ring, right? This girl, AI perfectly matched the tone and how she talks 100% of the way that you can't even tell that it's AI. That's how good it was. Now, granted, when I heard this, my actual not just complaint, but reasoning behind it still not being able to be as good, because AI still has an issue of sounding robotic at times. Though that didn't sound robotic from that little test I seen, I will say this, because that voice actor in general sounded dead inside, that's why it was able to actually capture that type of feeling, because there was no emotion being said with the lines. I don't think AI is ever capable of actually being able to capture actual emotion, like them screaming. For instance, we've been using the fake you stuff, right? Recently to see just to test it out, see what's going on with it. As you can tell, there's still something robotic. It doesn't read stuff correctly. Now, obviously, in the next couple of years, it can get even better and better and better. But still, my point is, usually there's always some type of inline thing that you can tell that's not quite the case here. But for casuals, they might not notice the difference though, and that's what's kind of scary about it, because with AI voices, that can get to a point where it can be so good that you can actually defame somebody real easily, making them seem like they are some kind of sus person, right? And make them say something that they're actually not saying. That's where the kind of issues with some of this kind of comes in, where some of the bad can come in with this. Now, there's also some points where there's good things about it as well, but we always talk about the bad before the good. You know, the anime oversaturated now. Wait 10 years and oh my god, watch out, we get 80. Yeah, I know. Oh my god. That's scary. That's a scary thought, Ace. I didn't even think about that, because we're already at a point where we're doing way too many animes. They're overworking their employees way too freaking much. They gotta stop. But their solution is, oh, we're not gonna stop. We're just gonna get AI to make it better. What are you talking about? That's pretty much what they're doing. Instead of fixing the actual issue of overworking their employees, They're just trying to find a tool to make it to where they're not getting overworked as much. They're still gonna be overworked, don't get me wrong. It's like productivity is productivity. So they're gonna still find a way, but with AI though. Yeah, no AI for voice acting. Kind of get it for bags, but there are artists that specialize in backgrounds. Yeah, BGs, okay. Specialize in backgrounds and they'll lose jobs. Facts, right? That's what I was saying too, because like at that point, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just be like cleanup artists that will actually just like clean up the backgrounds. But I mean, a regular artist could potentially do the same thing too. I can definitely see this actually taking jobs away from artists. And this is the biggest thing that I'm actually afraid of when it comes to AI. It's not even about voice acting necessarily that's going to be getting taken over by it, because I don't think AI can ever replicate exactly how to voice act, because you're gonna have to go through a lot of processes to make that happen. But like there are certain instances where it can take over certain things. Like for instance, it's like a lot of the commercials sound very robotic anyways. So a lot of commercial voices, we don't need actual people for that anymore. AI can do exactly that. You know what I mean? So I don't think you need to worry about that. But when it comes to art, we're already seeing a bad turnaround with this, where art is being attacked by AI. AI is taking over to such a degree that you can already see people are not making money off of it. The people rather pay some AI art or some generator thing than to pay some actual artists like myself, for instance, to get some work done. You know what I mean? It's actually sad. I'm not gonna lie. I've actually tried AI art. There's an app I got that I wanted to try to see if I get a different profile picture, and I used it. I was curious about it because everybody else started using it. I'm like, what is this? So I used the thing, and it's like, okay, it was cool. There's still some errors in it, obviously, but it's like, it's scary how good it actually is and how accurate it can be. But then it's like, and I become conflicted too, because I'm like, this is not good. I feel like ultimately what AI is supposed to be is a tool. Like if it wants to be used as a tool to do backgrounds, I don't think that's necessarily a terrible idea to have. But make sure you're not just dropping your employees that you already have. You know what I mean? Don't let people lose their job based off of a machine. That's my thing here. Soon Mappa will produce every hey, Avatar, look, you spitting. They said, oh my goodness, we can get productivity go up like tenfold using AI. You do every anime. It's gonna be great. That's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do. It's like, look, they're already doing way too much. It's scary how much anime they're doing. I don't know how they're doing this. That's like, it's sad to see, because I know they're getting overworked over there. It's bad. In K-pop too, the idol group. Wait, what? Whoa. See, this is what I'm talking. What? But see, that makes sense though, because like, is it well, Hatsune Miku isn't technically AI, but it is computer generated. You know what I'm saying? Like she was the first one technically of its kind, if you want to get technical. But we also have AI streamers too. I don't know if you guys know about that. We have AI streamers already on the scene, where it has a way to be able to talk to people. It's like the AI voice voice to text type of generator, and it knows how to like respond to people. You've seen those things, right? Where you type into something and they can tell you a whole story of what you're trying to like write about. Or if you say, hey, how you doing? Like the AI will actually try to figure out what to say. It's pretty much like that. It gets smarter enough to be able to actually figure out how to talk and how to respond to you. So now we got to a point where there's actually AI streamers doing exactly this, and they get a lot of views and everything too. That's a shame. See, they're already having idol groups made of AI. That way we don't have to pay no actual people. I mean, I'm wouldn't be surprised if KDA at one point became just fully AI characters. You know what I mean? There's actual voices behind them right now, yes. But who's to say when it comes to singing? Because, like, think about it. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, that's where AI voice could probably go more so than voice acting. It can go into singing. Because, like, you can still sound decent enough because it's already filters and other things like that in your voice when you're singing, either using a microphone for auto-tune or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? We're already kind of doing that anyways to our voices. So why not just have AI generated voices sing some songs for you, and then therefore, boom, get them out of here? Like, there's actually an anime that deals with this actual idea. Now I'm thinking about it. Can't remember what the anime is called. There's an anime that deals exactly with this. Wait, I think it's Carol on Tuesday. I think it's Carol on Tuesday, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because I think the premise of Carol on Tuesday was that they don't really have songs of actual human beings anymore. A lot of it nowadays is computer generated, kind of like Hatsune Miku and everything. Yeah, yeah, and then that's why those two are so unique in a way, because they came together. Carol and Tuesday, they came together and started singing those songs. And instead, they could compete with the AI generated stuff. I think that's what the story was, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody knows, if I'm correct in this, please tell me. But yeah, so this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm just concerned ultimately at the end of the day where we're heading when it comes to AI, and what are the legal ramifications for some of this too. Because if you know, as you already know, right, like AI can't do just about anybody's voice at this point. So there's like a lawsuit that my brother was telling me about recently, where there's a voice impressionist doing an impression of what's that guy's name? The Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Ashley. There it is. Of Rick Ashley, right? And he did a voice impression of like in a song for somebody else, and you're currently getting sued because he did a voice impression. So like, that's just a voice impression. What if he just were to just use AI all of a sudden? Like, what is the law with that at that point too? At that point, then, right? Because I'm kind of curious, like how far will this go? Because like, there is, when it comes to voices, there is a limit to that, only because that is defamation of character, and that's using someone's likeness. So, you know what I mean? That still could be an issue, and it can still be something within court that they should be able to win, is my thing. But with how that situation is when it comes to Rick Ashley and everything, the voice impressionist they didn't know, well, Rick Ashley didn't know that he was going to do that, where he's have a voice impressionist like do the lines and stuff and try to sound like him. So the fact they didn't tell him that was like a problem, but he was able to still get licensing for the actual beat itself is a thing. So it's a whole other thing here. Yeah, true. Yeah, Carol on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, was that show that dealt with that kind of like actual scenario that we could be actually seeing here in the next coming of years. I don't think it's going to take that long for AI to actually get that good. I honestly don't think it's probably going to take me. Let me see. We're in 2023. I think like 5 years. I think like in 5 years, AI is going to get to a point when there's enough data for it to be able to mimic almost anything to a T. I do see that being the case here. That's the same thing with like self-driving cars and all this stuff. Like all these things that we're actually dealing with right now when it comes to AI powered, AI generated content, all this stuff is going to get to a point where it's going to get so good that we can replace humans, unfortunately. And that's like that's the sad part about a lot of this. Like, honestly, now I'm thinking about it, this might not even extend. And this is bootleg too, by the way, right? What I'm about to say here is a little bootleg, but I can see this extending even to like fast food work. If the AI knows how to understand what you're telling it, we don't need somebody at the cashier anymore. You know what I mean? You can literally have the AI actually just like get like tell the order and everything. We need some cooks still. We need some people that can cook, maybe, or maybe not. It depends how automated you want to get, right? Because you already have like automated servers. I'm just saying. So like, we can get to that point where it gets even to that level where we're using that kind of machine, because all they got to do now is like, all you need now is actually coders. Like, the way like future is going right now, you need, and this wouldn't be a bad thing to learn, is like coding and some type of engineering type of like experience and stuff like that, right? Because you're gonna be dealing with machines more and more as time goes on here, and that's I think we're gonna be heading here. And it just, going back into anime, it just looks, it's very scary to see that we're getting too good at this, right? And I've seen stuff at this point when it comes to anime. We're having CG anime, for instance, right? What if all anime just decides to go CG? If it does, the funny thing is AI can actually copy that a lot better than 2D 2D animation. 2D animation always has some type of flaw in it, and there's some inaccuracies in it, right? But that's what the charm is about 2D animation. 3D is always symmetrical. It's always perfect. AI can legitimately copy exactly that then, because it's always perfect. They can't, it's like, it's harder to actually copy imperfections is the thing, versus when something's actually perfect. That's the thing why, that's why 3 always seems kind of off to a lot of people, because it's not messy in a way. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'm concerned for AI and what we got going on here and how the future is for anime. Like, animators are already not getting paid well, and this is only going to just hurt them even more. So I'm just concerned. I'm hoping that this doesn't go the route I think it is, but I have a feeling it is, and it's gonna really affect a lot of artists out here, not just in Japan, but just in general as AI gets better. But that's just my argument and my discussion when it comes to this week here in Seasonal Talk. For those that have watched this as a whole video, if you heard this entire discussion, please tell me in the comment section below how you feel about AI. For those here, do you want to see more AI stuff actually happen? Do you want it to be stronger? Do you want it to get better? Because like I said, we've tested some AI stuff already. So like, do y'all want that thing to get to a point where it's like really freaking good? I'm very curious what your thoughts are on this whole situation here. And for those that are actually here too, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys could, please like this. It helps the algorithm so much to be able to push this out to other people. They'll be like, oh my God, what's going on here? It's a very interesting topic. So I would love to know, like, if you guys could at least like the video. I appreciate that. You don't have to share it around or anything, but if you could do that for me, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's very scary. Like I'm not down with that. I need that to not be a thing is my thing. Okay. Like, and we need to take a step back and reevaluate some stuff. It comes to a point where like we don't need to have robots in everything. You know what I mean? Or this AI in everything. It's always concerning. That's why iRobot and all these other movies come out. It gets you concerned, right? Because like we're gonna get to that point. We're heading down that path. There's already machines that are actually walking around looking like humans and stuff like that. And it just needs to learn, which they're already doing that too. I don't know if y'all know about that. They're actually making a machine learn and get better over time. There's a massive database, so it's concerning. Like I said, there's a lot of videos out there. Maybe I might share some in the Discord so y'all can see. But it's a very scary time. It's a very scary time. But all right, I will be back obviously on Monday. So we'll be playing some God of War Ragnarok. We'll be over there on the Twitch channel, obviously. So make sure to follow over there if you're not. Outside of that, we'll be having Chainsaw Man Tuesdays because Chainsaw Man should be coming out this week. So I'm looking forward to that. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll be back over here on also the YouTube channel to talk more anime and seasonal talk and other topics of that matter. So we have all this already planned out. You already know what it is, my guys. You already know what it is. Drink your goddamn water. Take your goddamn vitamins. And I will see you next time. Until then, people. Okay.